If you've been scrolling through endless rows of 4K OLEDs and soundbars, comparing specs, reading a few reviews, and still feel a little stuck on which combo actually upgrades your living room experience, you're not alone. I've been in that exact spot, trying to decide whether a premium TV Plus soundbar package is worth the splurge, or just another fancy gadget that ends up gathering dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first thing that kept me up at night was the fear of buying a TV that looks amazing on paper, but ends up looking flat in a real-world setting, or a soundbar that promises legendary 3D sound but leaves dialogue sounding like it's coming from a tin can. Those worries are real, especially when you consider how many families now use the same setup for movie nights, gaming marathons, and the occasional Zoom call. The Samsung 65-inch class OLED S90F 2025 model paired with the HWQS 700F 3.1.2-channel soundbar is positioned as a one-stop solution to those problems. But does it really deliver? Let's start with the picture. Samsung's most advanced 4K AI processor isn't just a marketing line. It actually runs a series of upscaling algorithms that take non-4K content like a classic DVD or a 1080p YouTube video and stretches it to fill the 65-inch screen without the usual halo of blur. In my weekend binge-watch sessions, the AI Upscaling Pro managed to pull out texture in a low-budget indie film that I hadn't noticed before. The OLED panel itself gives you deep blacks and vibrant colors, which is where the powerful brightness and deeper contrast in every pixel claim shows up. In a bright living room with large windows, the TV still held its own, the highlights didn't wash out, and the contrast remained punchy enough to keep a dark thriller from turning into a grey mess. Now, picture quality is only half the story if the audio can't keep up. That's where the HWQS 700F soundbar steps in. The package includes a separate subwoofer that can sit on the floor or be tucked behind a sofa, and the speakers are angled upwards to bounce sound off the ceiling. The up-firing design is meant to create a multidimensional feel, and in practice it does something surprisingly close to that. When I watched an action movie with a lot of overhead explosions, the sound seemed to come from above and around me without needing a full surround speaker system. The legendary 3D sound claim feels justified for a single-box solution. Dialogue clarity is a common complaint with many soundbars, especially when they try to push bass. The QS700F uses Samsung's AI sound optimization to separate voices from background noise. In a recent Zoom meeting with a colleague who was sharing a screen, the remote participants could hear my voice clearly even though I had the TV on at a moderate volume. That's a practical win for anyone who uses the TV as a secondary monitor or for remote work. Bass performance is where the dedicated subwoofer really shines. It delivers enough low-end thump to feel the rumble in a car chase, but it's not so aggressive that it drowns out mid-range details. In a smaller apartment, I initially worried the sub would be overbearing, but the built-in EQ lets you dial the bass down without losing impact. The sub's behavior is also relatively quiet when it's not needed. It only ramps up during action scenes or music with deep beats, which keeps neighbor complaints at bay. Room size matters with any sound system, and Samsung markets the QS700F as designed for powerful sound whether mounted flat against a wall or laid flat on. I tried both configurations. When the bar was wall-mounted, the soundstage felt tighter and more focused, ideal for a dedicated home theater room. Laid flat on a bookshelf, the sound spread a little wider, which actually helped fill a larger, open-plan living area. The flexibility means you don't have to commit to a specific layout before buying. Connectivity is another real-world factor. The soundbar supports HDMI EARC, which means you can plug the TV into the bar with a single cable and get both high-resolution video and high-bitrate audio without an extra optical cable. I paired the TV and bar this way, and the remote control on the TV automatically adjusted the bar's volume, eliminating the dreaded to-remote dance. The soundbar's own remote is fairly minimal, just volume, mode, and a power button, but that's intentional. The heavy lifting is done through the TV's interface. If you already have a universal remote that can handle the TV, you'll rarely need to touch the soundbar's remote. Streaming integration is seamless. Samsung's Tizen platform on the OLED lets you launch Netflix, Disney+, or Amazon Prime directly, and the soundbar's AI will detect the source and switch to the appropriate preset, movie, music, or speech. When I switched from a movie to a Spotify playlist, the bar automatically faded the bass a touch and emphasized vocal clarity, exactly the kind of subtle adjustment that makes everyday use feel polished. So, who should buy this combo? First, anyone who already knows they want a premium